At this time, I'd like to welcome the Wyoming Cowboys. 25 wins on the season. Head coach Jeff Linder. And on the far side, Hunter Maldonado, 21 points tonight. Graham Ike, 17 points, 9 rebounds. Coach, if you could just start our press conference with a statement on your basketball team.
Yeah, I mean, it's in the locker room afterwards, I told the guys, the first thing I told them was just how excited I was, even though we were, obviously disappointed that we lost the game, but just really excited for these guys to feel what the NCAA tournament feels like, to know that, what we do on a daily basis, and sometimes the monotony of just the little things that you have to do over and over and over again to put yourself in a position to win games in March. And it really boils down to fundamentals. And, we knew we were going to have our hands full on the glass. We've been a really good defensive rebounding team all year, but give them credit. I mean, those 15 extra possessions they got on the glass. And then we were a team for most of the year up until about the last 2-3 weeks where we were top 25 in the country in turnover percentage. But, to give that team 19 empty possessions when I thought – for the most part, we were getting the shots that we wanted to get. They're a really good defensive team, but I thought we did a good job attacking. I thought in the first half, Maldonado and Graham got to their spots, and they just happened to miss some shots there. And when the ball's in the hands of those two guys, I mean, there's not almost two guys in the country that have the usage rate that they do. And so, I put a lot of pressure on them every single game with the amount of times the ball's in their hands and how many times they got to make decisions. And that's why we're 25-9 is those two guys in terms of playing through those guys and building our system around them and around their strengths. And I know Maldo's is disappointing anybody with the 10 turnovers, but we wouldn't be here right now if it wasn't for Maldo, and we wouldn't be here for Graham Ike. I mean, those two guys, what they've done this year, along with those guys in that locker room. But now they know what it feels like. They know what it feels like to play a Big Ten team. That almost, they made a run the Big Ten tournament and got some good players, and Coach Whitson does a great job with those guys. But I'm really excited what the future has in hold for us because we have most of these guys coming back. And now they know in the spring when they're in the weight room, and hopefully some of those guys will be in the weight room starting here in the next couple of days, is you want to go beat a Big Ten team on the road in the NCAA tournament. I mean, you got to find a way to you got to find a way to make sure your body's ready to go to play against a Race Thompson, a Xavier Johnson, a Trace Jackson Davis. So I think it's just gonna allow us to take another step, a big step as a program, and I'm just really excited to see where that goes.
We'll open up questioning for our student athletes. We'll start here in the front row, right in the middle.
Cody Tucker, 7220 Sports. Hunter, Graham, for both of you guys. I know this is fresh, but you guys aren't supposed to be here. You were picked to finish tied for 8th in the Mountain West Conference. Does that help you put this in perspective a little bit?
Yeah, I think coming into the season, having that chip on our shoulder, knowing that we were picked 8th, when we were in summer workouts, because obviously it comes out before the season, just pushing as hard as we can, and then in the non-conference, just seeing how special of a team we did have, it definitely puts it in perspective to be here, because for most of this, it's been 7 years since we've been in the tournament at all. So no one here has been in it except for Coach, and so like I said before, it definitely does put it in perspective just how special of a season it was.
Yeah, just going what Mardo said, just that added fuel to the fire, and just with us being here is just a great experience in itself, and to get to play on this stage is a great opportunity. I'm really just proud of this team and all that we've been through over the season, all that we worked for just to get up to this point.
Another question here in the middle.
Ryan Thorburn, the Star Tribune. Hunter, obviously you guys played some good defenses this year, Arizona, SDSU, Boise. What was it like facing Indiana's defense, and is it disappointing that they got you guys in terms of, the pressure and forcing that many turnovers?
I think they're all great players. Obviously, they're at Indiana for a reason. That's a school with great history. I don't think any one thing was what made the difference, but collectively they sit down. They're one of the better defenses in the Big Ten, and I think over the course of the game they were able to muck it up a little bit more than some of the teams in our conference, and at the end of the day, it is what it is.
Let's go near side here.
Dustin DePierre, Bloomington Herald-Times. I guess, Hunter, though, just to square in on the turnovers themselves, I guess, what do you think led to those? I mean, how much was it something they were doing defensively, whether it was bringing a trap or whatever, or there was just mistakes you felt you made? I mean, just what, in your analysis, how did it lead to 10 turnovers?
I think throughout the course of the game, obviously they were going to – I mean, I've seen traps and doubles all year. It wasn't anything too special, but I think I tried to force it a little more than I probably should have, especially knowing that if I did slow down, we were basically scoring almost every time. So I think just in a sense of trying to force almost making the home run play instead of taking the singles was what led to those 10 turnovers.
A couple more questions for our student athletes. We'll go to the far end here, first row.
Graham, Trace obviously had a big night for them. What was it like guarding him? And for you personally, what was the thing that I guess stood out to you the most about defending him?
Yeah, Trace is a good player, and it was just a great matchup, just a great battle, just to play against a player like that, really physical battle. Had a lot of fun in that battle, honestly. And, yeah.
Fourth row.
Yeah, Kevin Brockway, CNHI. Graham, you did a lot of your damage in the second half. How did the foul trouble impact you during the course of the game, and what was different about your mindset offensively in the second half?
Well, the foul trouble, when I got the 2, I sat the rest of the half, so that's how that affected me. And really, my mentality really didn't change. I just missed 5 shots in the first half. That's all. They started to fall a little bit in the second half, so yeah, that's what that was.
Graham, thank you. Hunter, thank you. Appreciate your time. Great season.
Thank you.
Good season.
All right, now Coach Linder, with questions. We'll start here in the middle, here on the inside.
Ryan Thorburn, the Star Tribune. With Graham specifically, how do you think this experience will help him this offseason, just in terms of pushing him towards things he needs to work on?
Yeah, I mean, he's the guy when you walk into the arena auditorium at 7:30 in the morning, and he's the guy you see in there, whether he's by himself or he's with the coach. And there's a reason why he's such a good player, and he puts in the work. And when your better players are your hardest workers, I mean, it makes my job really easy. But I think for him, he knows, and we've talked at length about the areas that he needs to grow in. But I mean, look at it, he was going up against one of the better players in the country tonight. I mean, went right at him and missed some shots, which Trace's length and athleticism. I mean, but it's not like he hadn't seen that against Christian Coloco and some other guys. I mean, he's as good as offensively as a post player in the country. Just fortunately for him, he had to battle through having foul trouble, and I think that's for him. The next step is just understanding, just how to minimize some of the damage with the fouls, but also too, I mean, it's the way that we're designed and the way that we have to play to be in a 25-9 and to play in the NCAA tournament is that those guys. I mean, Graham Ike's usage rate is was number 1 in the country most of the year, and that doesn't even include in terms of when you really watch the film and you see the number of times the ball's in his hands. I mean, it's upwards to 30 times a game, and there's not very few post players in the country that have the ball in their hands like that. And so, for him to have those many touches, those many possessions, to see every single type of coverage known to man in terms of doubles, he's just going to continue to grow as a player, and he's going to expand his game. He's going to be able to shoot the ball from outside. I'm just excited to just continue to watch him grow.
Let's go here in the front.
Dustin DePierre, Bloomington Herald-Times. I guess you look at what you guys were able to do defensively. A lot of their main guys you managed to quiet down. Obviously, Trace gets his, but when a guy like Jordan Geronimo does what he did, how much does that change the dynamic of a game?
Yeah, I mean, as I told Jordan as they're walking out, I was hoping he didn't play today, but luckily, for them, he did. And we knew in terms of just his, Jordan, just from talking to other coaches and just having watched him on film, what we'd watched. I mean, he just provides just a level of toughness and grit, and that's basically what he made was a bunch of winning plays. I mean, he's an unbelievable athlete. You kind of have to pick your poison. Okay, it's like, okay, well, do you start doubling, and it's a lot. Trace is a lot like Graham, and you want to start doubling Trace. I mean, he's a really good passer, and now you start allowing Stewart and Kopp and those guys start getting threes, and that's when things can get away from you. And so you kind of have to pick your poison. We were going to kind of let Trace, and a lot of the, probably, I mean, you got 29, but, a lot of those points too when Graham Ike was in foul trouble. But you know, he's a great player though. There's a reason why, you know, he's gotten the accolades he's had. But Jordan's going to continue to. I mean, he said he's a really good player that made a lot of winning plays that helped him win the game.
Second row on the end.
Mark Kisela, Denver Post. Two things. I know we're in Dayton, but it sounded a lot like Bloomington to me. Did it to you? And number two, what happened with the tech there in the first half?
Well, it was like deja vu for me because in 2015, I had to play when I was at Boise State as an assistant coach. We had to play Dayton here, and so it was a sea of red at that time. I've been in some loud gyms, the pit, you know, at times when back in the day when it was really rolling, and man, you can't hear yourself think. That night back in 15, it was the same thing here, and we knew coming out. I mean, that there was going to be a lot of red, and there was going to be a lot of Indiana fans, but our guys embraced that. And it wasn't, you know, we weren't going to use that as an excuse. And I've known, you know, Nate, the official, I've known for a long time. You know, we hung out on the beach in Hawaii over the Diamond Head when we were out there. He was reffing there. And I was getting after Drake because Drake was putting his hands up, and I've talked to Drake about that before. So I was yelling at Drake to, like, shut up and get down the floor, but he obviously saw me being demonstrative, which was towards Drake, and, you know, he had to do what he had to do. And so it's unfortunate, but it's the first time I've gotten a T for yelling at my own guy. Yeah, no, that's it. He's just doing his job.
Last question here in the middle, first row.
Cody Tucker, 7220 Sports. Jeff, you touched on it a little bit, but the turnovers and the miscues, how unfortunate is that to happen right now at this time against that team?
Yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate. I mean, for the most part, most of the season, we averaged under 10 turnovers a game. And, you know, as the season goes on and the toll that it takes on Maldo and Graham in terms of how much we use them in those situations. And it wasn't anything, I mean, it wasn't anything really Indiana was doing. I mean, it was, now I knew they were just going to play it straight up. They allowed us to create switches to get the matchups that we wanted. I mean, Maldo, for the most part, picked them apart. But my thing with Maldo all year long is that when he tries to play fast, he's not nearly as effective as a player. That's when a lot of his turnovers come into play. And I was like, they couldn't stop you just playing slow, just continue to back him down. But it's easy to say. It's easy to say as a coach. It's another thing when you actually have to go out there and do it, and you got Big Ten level athletes guarding you. You know, one of the better teams defensively in the Big Ten, and so it's one of those deals where hopefully said he'll continue to grow. I mean, he's gonna have to make a decision in terms of what he's gonna do, if he's gonna come back for that, you know, next year, or if he's gonna make his way. But you know, I'll support him whatever he does. But I do think that if he did come back, I mean, we got a lot of the right pieces and could be really special again.
Coach Linder, terrific season, 25 wins.
Thank you.
Great year.
Thank you, guys.
All right, the first four, it'll continue tomorrow at 6:40 with Bryant and Wright State. Thank you.